I hate the smell of the color bluey met my wife while working as a correctional officer in Davidson County. We always joked and felt it ironic that we met each other in jail. We figured it was better than meeting each other at a bar. More character found in a prison. She was originally from Oklahoma, moved to Nashville hoping to become a famous musician, but like most aspiring artists, she had to settle for a life of mediocrity. She planted her roots down in a neighborhood considered to be a bad part of town, a place to be avoided at all costs. The house she bought was built in the 30s, as were all the houses in that neighborhood. They were matchbox houses, unable to withstand the smallest of fires. There were 4 empty lots on her very street, remnants of homes that burned down in no less than 30 minutes, even though the fire department was at the end of the block. Rebuild? No, these homes were uninsured. I moved in the house at the end of 1999. It was a large home with gray asphalt siding. It had been converted to a duplex and then reconverted to a single-family home. The laundry room was a late addition with vinyl siding slapped up on the interior walls, which were once the exterior walls. The foundation was sinking fast into the earth, the kitchen being the worst, with a noticeable bow in the floor. The high ceilings and bare floors made the winters unbearable. The only way to stay warm was to be fully clothed, even to the point of wearing a light jacket. In the summers, it was an oven of inescapable heat. I never could get comfortable, but the worst of it were all the rats. We were infested with filthy, hairy, arrogant rats. One late night, I saw one in the kitchen. It was too fat to scurry away. It looked over its shoulder in a nonchalant way, as if to say, "Whatever, come kill me. I don't care." It was so big it looked like a small, grotesque pony. The year 2000 rolled upon us without the anticipated Armageddon commencing. Y2K was a dud. Convinced the world would keep turning, I made the decision to rid us of the rats and to replace that god-awful, damned gray asphalt siding. We chose blue for some odd reason. I hated it as soon as it was put up. Blue siding seemed unique, but in reality, it was tacky and cheap. At the same time, I laid a slew of rat poison around the house. Traps are visibly cruel, but the bodies are easy to find and to dispose of. Poison, you don't see the cruelty, the slow death of an animal in excruciating pain, but neither do you find the body. They crawl off in between the walls and die, hidden from your sight, but unfathomably present to your sense of smell. I couldn't see the damn things, but I sure could smell the rotting corpses. On top of all that, I was diagnosed with throat cancer. Chemotherapy wore me down. My throat burned like hell, and I lost over 100 pounds. I could chew and taste food, but swallowing, no sir. The pain was too much to bear. My wife moved me up into the attic to stay warm. Heat rises, and the best place for me, devoid of the natural warmth of body fat, was in the sweltering, collapsing walls at the top of the ugly blue house, which also happened to be painted blue. My wife thought it only made sense to paint the attic blue to match the exterior. Well, why not? Who was I to argue? The smell of the dead rats was overwhelming. When I tried to eat, I tasted decomposition. Dead, filthy rats. The pain of my condition, the lack of sustenance, and the smell of rot must have debilitated my mental capacities, for in time I hallucinated. I envisioned an elderly woman with black eyes and yellow teeth sitting at my bedside in a wooden rocking chair. For the longest time, she didn't speak, only rocked and stared. I convinced myself that she wasn't real. Then one day, she introduced herself as the devil, the king of the fallen. "It smells delightful in here," she said. I closed my eyes, hoping she would fade away. Oh, child, that doesn't work. Close your eyes all you want. I have a proposition for you, and I'm not leaving until we have an understanding. I know you want to live. You pray to God, but the devil hears you. Honey, who are you talking to? My wife called from downstairs. It's time to go. The old woman smiled and touched my frail arm. We'll talk later. Another visit, another methodical chipping away at the mass of unwanted biological matter lodged in my throat. When we got home, I told my wife I'd rather stay in our bedroom. Yeah, that's fine, but wouldn't you be comfortable in the attic? The smell is terrible up there, I explained. Honey, I'd rather you stay upstairs. It's better for you up there in the warmth. My wife forcefully escorted me up the stairs into my makeshift bedroom. For the first time in my life, I realized I didn't have the strength to defend myself or to exert my will. She laid me in bed, and in a little while I fell asleep, exhausted from the short climb up the stairs to the attic. I was awakened by a touch, a small fragile hand on my shoulder. I opened my eyes in complete darkness. A lamp in the corner of the room switched on, several feet from where I was laying. It was the little old lady, rocking back and forth, enveloped in a small cast of light amidst an infinite expanse of shadow. It smells like shit in here. Is that you or the rats? The blue of the wall behind her was barely visible, but enough to perturb my soul. I turned my head and looked up at the ceiling, trying to avoid her gaze. She appeared near the ceiling, smiling, levitating, floating closer to me. Your life for your soul. I know it's cliched. The devil and her deals, always searching for souls. I closed my eyes and started to pray. I felt the heat of her breath on my face. I refused to open my eyes. I kept praying, and she kept negotiating. The soul. I want your flesh and essence. I want to devour you, or maybe your wife. Give me something, and I'll give you life. A long, rich life. Just something, her or you. Something. I need it. Give it to me, you son of a bitch, or I'll force them dead rats down your cancer-ridden throat. Leave me alone. I won't. Her, yes, her. She doesn't want to be around you. That's why you're upstairs by yourself. That's why you're lying amongst the dead rats in a gaudy blue house. Give her to me, no. It's only because it's warmer up here. She's doing it for my own good. I opened my eyes to see the darkness of her pupils, the emptiness of my own life. Her breath was fouler than the vanished dead rats hiding in my walls. Her demeanor was pale and contorted. She fastened herself to me, digging her arms between my back and the bed, squeezing me into her intense embrace. I felt an immediate loneliness and an abiding hate of myself and my life. It was done. It was finished. I was no more. The fear of death evoked a selfishness I thought impossible of myself. Take her. Take my wife. I woke up, the sun peering through the attic window. I felt better, still sick and weak, but no longer on the brink of death. For a moment, I smelled nothing, until I looked over at the blue walls and my wife sitting in the rocking chair, smiling with her wide black eyes. The blueness of the room smelled like death.